And I am so excited to have the opportunity to present this information. And the reason I'm presenting this information is because the spirit guides wrapped me on the fingers and they said, you're making it all too complicated with your crystal surgery. That's fine. Crystal surgery is good, but people need to just enjoy and have fun with crystal healing. They need to love their stones. And they need to appreciate that there are some things that are easy and simple and helpful that they can do. And you must teach this next. And they told me I must teach crystals for first aid next and make it easy and straightforward and not all these complicated techniques and procedures that we have in crystal surgery, which are amazing and do deliver miracles. But that's crystals, and there are ways to work with crystals that's amazing and miraculous without it being all complicated and structured and turn around 7 times in one direction and then turn around 7 times in the other direction. So I am excited about this class. I do want to say, having said that and saying hello and welcome, that this is not a Hollywood production. This is just me and Neil in our house downstairs setting things up so that we can do the Zoom call. And if there are any glitches or anything goes wrong, we apologize for that, but it's Mercury in retrograde. And if there is anything like that happens, we just have to accept that and deal with it. And Neil and I have to talk to each other. I cannot see what comes up on chat. He's going to have to tell me what people say. And we're going to have to just work together like this very nicely. Okay, thank you. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to present the material that I've prepared. And I'm going to try not to tell too many stories, because if you know me, you know that I like to tell stories, not fibs, not made up stories, but I like to give you backstories and tell you things that have happened. And I have a few of those today that are important, because everything I'm going to show you and talk to you about today is from actual experience. I haven't gone and looked up and done research what other people do for using crystal healing for first aid. This is all based on my own experience and knowledge. And if you have things to add, you can put them in chat and you can say, yes, I use such and such a stone for that. Or you can just say like, I use that stone for this also. Please add in, but put it on chat, because that way we have the record. And after this Zoom call, it will be recorded, it will be processed, it will be put on YouTube, and that will be a very good place to add information, is in the comments section on YouTube, because then you keep all that information together for people to see, and it becomes cumulative knowledge. Because one thing is for certain, and that is nobody, not one of us, can possibly know all there is to know about either crystal healing or crystal surgery. So I am the founder of crystal surgery, but that doesn't make me the owner of crystal surgery. And I will make no secret of the fact that I have a mission and a vision, and that is that I would like to see crystal surgery in every city of the world. And so I'm very, very pleased to announce that we have 15 new graduates, and they are spread through the world: Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, North America, Canada, and and the USA. And that I'm really looking forward to having more and more people internationally. And I'm also looking forward to when we can have a translator on the website, and that we can start opening up to Spanish and French and German and Italian and so on. And if anybody is speaks a foreign language and wants to be a first representative for that foreign language, we will do our best to support you, because it is very much a mission for us to see crystal surgery go to every city in the world, because it's very important, it's very effective, and it's you can speak to the graduates. You won't see me printing testimonials. You won't see me giving reports, because it sounds absurd. It sounds like we're making claims. And for that reason, I don't publish those kind of things. But you speak to the people who've done the course, and you ask them what experiences they've been having with their clients. You will fall on your back. And It is unbelievable. And I can give you an example because, you know, I have to put up on YouTube with people, kids, these are boys, 14-year-old boys shouting placebo at me. I'll give you one example. We have one graduate here in Cincinnati. She worked on a cat that had had a stroke and gone blind. She worked on the cat on Friday night that had had the stroke. On the Saturday morning, the cat could see again. Now, that is not a unique experience. That is just an example experience. We have things that happen to people, but you see, you can't fake it with the cat. The cat doesn't know it got crystal surgery. And the cat isn't going to pretend to be able to see again. And so that is why I'm using that particular example. So that's just one example of many. The stories roll in from the graduates and the students all the time about these miracles. And I don't publish them for the reason I've already said. Let's get on to crystals for first aid. And of course, I have to say the disclaimer. You don't use crystals instead of the doctor. Please, folks.
What?
Oh, you're on with somebody? Oh, never mind then.
Again, everybody, please mute.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so just pin it on me, Neil. Then even if somebody makes a mistake, it will be all right. So I must say this disclaimer. If you need to go to the hospital or the ER or the doctor, you got to do that, folks. You can't use crystals instead. You've got to be sensible. Now, when I tell the stories that I'm about to tell, it may sound like you don't need to go to the doctor, but oh my gosh, it would be so irresponsible not to realize that an emergency is an emergency. We have the most wonderful medical technology. The advances in medicine are extraordinary. You can criticize the way medicine is administered in various countries because there are problems. There's no doubt about it. But medicine itself is extraordinary and miraculous. And I do not want to pretend to be in any other state than to have enormous admiration for doctors and nurses and medical people who have committed their lives to the care of us human beings, and that the technology is extraordinary. What we want to say about the politics of medicine and the administration of medicine, it's a separate issue, folks. So that's all I'm going to say about that topic, but please do not construe anything here to be a substitute for appropriate medical care. All right? Okay, here we go. Having said that, I'm going to go in a kind of a chronological order of how I discovered things. And the first thing I want to say is to talk about a kid who had earache. And he's the son of our friend Lois, who's also used to be a family member, and then she lives in Cincinnati around the corner from us, and her son had an earache, and Lois had gone to South Africa, and her husband Chris called me and said, Adrian's got an earache. Vivien, can you help? And I thought, an earache, what? And I remembered when I was back in South Africa still, and I had a mentor who was into anthroposophical medicine, and she had told me that they used fluorite and quartz for earache. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And I packed like a little doctor's bag, and I went round to their house, which is just round the corner from ours. And I sat Adrian on my lap, and this is what I did. I took my fluorite, my green fluorite, and Neil's going to tell me if this is working because we need the other camera now, Neil.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll take a couple of minutes.
So it's going to take a couple of minutes, so I'll just talk. And I took my green fluorite stones, so these are those. And I sat Adrian on my lap. He was about 6 years old. And I'll just wait for the images to come through for you before I continue. There we go. All right. Okay, so is that a good? All right. So what you want to do, so I've got the ears here on the skull. And I take one fluorite. This is a fluorite point. Yeah, Neil will zoom in so you can see it. I'm going to have another one. But if you don't have two of these, you can use a quartz point. And I'm using the wand just because it's bigger and easier to see. So as long as you have 2 points, because you want to connect the points through the 2 ears. So your first thing is to make your connection. Here's the ears. So you make your thought connection there. And then you connect the crystals through the ears. And you'll feel a thread. When you feel the points connect with each other, you'll actually feel as if you've got a string between them, and you can move the energy through like that. And that will start to open up the eustachian tubes and get the ears to start draining. And then you can actually just turn the ear chakra like that, and that will also assist the draining. Quartz and fluorite. Either 2 fluorites or 2 quartz stones, preferably diamantina lasers, but not necessarily, or 1 of each. There we go. Now, if here I am, I'm demonstrating on the skull. If I don't attune the proxy, the skull is acting as a proxy. If I don't attune it to anyone, it's attuned to me. So at the moment, it's attuned to me, and I can feel this in my ears, and it feels itchy. So anyway, I did this for Adrian, and I did it for about 3 minutes. And then he announced, I'm better now. And he jumped down off my lap, and he ran away to play. And I thought, well, that's just because he wants to play. He can't possibly be better yet. But you know what? He was. His earache, when he was taken to the doctor the next day, and he didn't have anything wrong with his ears anymore. But not only that, about a year later, in the middle of the night, I woke up. I had heard someone calling me. And I was like, who called me? And it was such a strong experience that I sat on the edge of the bed, and I just sat there and waited, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, how am I going to find out who called me? Somebody needs me, but I don't know who it is. And after 15 minutes of just sitting on the bed, it was 2 o'clock to 2:15. So I did look at the clock. And you must do that when this happens to you, because it will. And it probably does. And you're probably thinking about an occasion right now. And I looked at the clock and I watched it. And then I just went, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go back to sleep. So I did. The next day on the Alexander training course, because Lois was on the training course at that time, Lois suddenly turns around, she says, did you hear Adrian calling you in the night? And I said, actually, yes, I did. And what had happened was he'd got an earache in the night, and he was shouting at his parents to call me so that I can help him. And he was saying, call Vivien, call Vivien, call Vivien, which they wouldn't want to do because they obviously didn't want to disturb me. But I did hear him. But that was my proof that the fluorite and quartz had actually worked. Okay, so that's my first little story. And that's your first frontier. Who doesn't need to deal with earache at some point if there are children in your lives? So that's a good one. And you can use the same method for clearing earwax, which I've had to do for Neil, and was actually the thing that proved to me that crystal surgery works. Is that Neil had a very bad case of earwax, and we used the crystals to shift that, and it was incredibly successful. And that's when I kind of went like this. This really does work. You see, for me, it's not a question of belief. People say, do you believe in crystals? I say, well, I can believe in crystals like I believe in the sun. It's just a set of facts for me. It's not about belief. And that's how this happened. Was I just went, wow, this really did work. Because not only did we shift the earwax, but I actually got extremely clear visuals on my mind screen of what the earwax looked like. And when Neil washed the earwax out of his ear, because you do have to do a mechanical step of washing the ears out as well after loosening the wax, then I saw the lump of wax that came out of his ear was identical to what I'd seen up here. Nowadays, what I do is when people are about to have a surgery, I work, I take a look and see what's going on in there. And then I wait for the report from the surgeon. I do a drawing for the client and I say, this is what I'm seeing. And then we compare what the surgeon says and tells with what I saw on my mind screen. And that's been working very well, very affirming for me. Okay, so now let me talk about this, what I'm wearing. So this is turquoise. This is my emergency necklace. This is a turquoise heart that my friend Ro gave me. And she had it wrapped by someone called Serendipity. And it's really, really a beautiful piece, as you can see. And then this is a 3-strand necklace that I made under emergency circumstances. And then I made these earrings as well. And what happened was, this was back in, must have been the year 2000 or 1999, somewhere around there, 1999, 2000. I took the kids down to the National Junior Taekwondo Championships. Junior National Taekwondo Championships. And I was not only a parent because my boys were competing, but I was also the team coach. And it was a week of very, very intense stress and adrenaline rushes. And those Taekwondo tournaments are a nightmare because you alternate between extreme boredom and extreme adrenaline. And by the time I got home, my adrenals were flat. I was literally a dribbling wreck. I was so drained and so exhausted and so messed up. I went, what can I do? What can I do? And I was guided. The spirit said, make yourself a turquoise necklace. And this is the necklace that I made. And it really made the difference. So now, so it's like a collar and it's like a shield and it's a whole lot of different things. And I thought I'd wear it for you all today because it is rather beautiful, but also because it's an opportunity to wear it. And it rests nicely. It's heavy, but it rests well on the collarbones. So the spirits guided me with the design and everything. I don't know much about jewelry making, but I listen to the guidance, and that's how I manage quite a lot of the things I do. I do lots of things I don't know how to do, and I'm not one to wing it, but the spirits guide me and they tell me, and it works. It works if I listen. And I wear these earrings a lot. If I go on vacation, I take them because turquoise has this capacity to get you grounded and to help you spiritually. So you're getting this alignment from body, mind, and spirit, and this kind of centering and aligning effect from the turquoise. And so this really helped me. It's also extremely protective. So that's the story about turquoise. Neil, is there anything coming in chat that I need to know about?
No.
Okay, good. I shall just have a sip of water. So that was back then. Then on November the 5th, 2002, we did a Taekwondo training, actually a self-defense training. And it involved a lot of neck turning like this. And everybody in the group was trained in Taekwondo except for Neil. And the neck turning like this caused him to get an injury in his carotid artery, which we didn't know that that's what had happened. But we had a meeting that night. And during the meeting, November the 5th, 2002, during that meeting, Neil suddenly became paralyzed on the left side of his body. And I looked over to him and I said, Neil, can you lift your left hand? And he said, yes, I can lift my left hand. And he lifted his right hand. And I said, no, Neil, your left hand. And he couldn't lift it. He was paralyzed. And I realized that something extremely bad was happening. And fortunately, I did not panic. And this is the number one thing in first aid, folks, is keeping your presence of mind and keeping your head about you. And there are crystals that can help you with that, and I won't delay, but to say black tourmaline. So without delaying, I will say black tourmaline can help you with this. So if you carry it in your pockets, and I will tell you under which other circumstances, this will help keep your bioelectricity correct, which means you'll get the correct north-south alignment. And that is what you want, is a north-south, south-north alignment, and not a zigzagging where things are going east-west, but still having to work into a north-south direction. So you get like a zigzag going across your body. That's what you don't want. And that's when your energy will get chaotic, and it's electrical in nature. It's your nervous system, it's your mind, it's your brain, it's your reflexes. So black tourmaline is your friend whenever it comes to reflexes, the way the nervous system works, the way the brain works, anything to do with that. Black tourmaline is your best friend. It is a master healer. It's amazing. I'll come back to that, but back to the stroke story. So there was Neil, paralyzed, and first we helped him. We thought, oh, he needs to cough or something. So we helped him to the bathroom, and we were basically carrying him because his left side was paralyzed. Then we brought him back and we laid him down on a couch. And then I just saw what was happening. Fortunately for me, I was writing a fictional work. And in the fictional work, a person saved someone's life. And it turned out that I had to do what I'd written in the fictional work. So now, Neil, we'll just have to get this to show. But what had happened, what was happening, and what I saw, what if I do that?
That's better.
And if I'm doing this way?
Better.
Okay, so what I saw, okay, I have to get this correct. This is, yeah. So if you have the textbook, you can look. But if you can see the energy body, well, let's look at this page on this side here. You see how the energy body can float away from the physical body. This is energy anatomy, and this is what you want to understand when you're doing healing work, is how the pieces fit together. So it's here in the book, but you can see the energy body can float away and dissociate from the physical body. You don't want that. That's not good. That's the opposite of centered and aligned. That's disalignment. So here in this, on this side, let me do it this way, so the shine. Okay, so what was happening is Neil's foot was up here already in this spot. And I pulled the foot down inside his physical body to there. And I pinned it. And I held his energy body in place in his foot because he looked to me like he was dying and he was leaving. Now, let's not forget that Neil is a shaman. And in his shamanic practice, he practiced dying. And he reported that he was. And he was actually having a very nice time. And he actually was mad at me for interfering with his enjoyment. But our sons were young, and I wasn't going to bring them up on my own. And so I held onto his energy body and kept it pinned in his foot. And then I started to do what I'd written about in the work of fiction. And I started to work his chakras, especially his heart chakra. And I just kept stimulating his chakras. I was using my hands, didn't have any crystals, but, I just used my hand chakras, and I just kept working his chakras, kept working his chakras. Of course, we had called 911. I mean, really. And then by the time the ambulance arrived, 20 minutes later, Neil was still paralyzed. He was still drooping on the side of his face, but he was beginning to be compos mentis again. He was beginning to come back. And the ambulance people arrived. The paramedics said, how long has it been? I said, about 20 minutes. They said, thank you for calling us straight away, because, if someone has a stroke, you must call straight away, because they can give an injection to reverse the stroke and so on. But anyway, at that time, they said, okay, then came a problem. We were down in the basement and we couldn't get him up the stairs in a stretcher. And so Neil did his Alexander thing. He was still a little bit paralyzed, but he was getting ready. And he said, I can do it. And he sat like this. And he went like this, and he stood up, and he walked into the ambulance on his own. We took him to the ER, and the only question he couldn't answer was the question which drives every Alexander teacher crazy: what is the Alexander technique? And he hummed and hawed, and the doctor thought, proof that there's cognitive issues. And I intervened and said, no Alexander teacher can explain that easily. So ask a different question to see how he is. And Neil was fine, and I took him home. But he had been paralyzed, and something had happened. And we had to find out what it was. So I won't go into all the ins and outs of that, but I will say that my presence of mind, my training in the Alexander technique, my knowledge of energy healing, my capacity to see what was happening with the energy body, these all work together to be able to do this, basically this triage, because what turned out to happen, to be the case, was that Neil had had a carotid artery dissection, which means that his carotid artery got damaged, a blood clot broke free and went to his brain, causing a stroke. However, 80% of people who have carotid artery dissection die. The 20% who survive are compromised, they're injured, they have something to show. And so the doctors never considered that as the cause of what happened, because Neil had not one thing wrong with him. He made an entire and full recovery. And so they couldn't diagnose it. And then finally, I wrote a report for a neurologist. We got some help from some doctor friends and who got us in with a really good neurologist. And I wrote the report because what was happening was Neil was going to the doctors, but he wasn't really there when he was having the stroke. He was having his stroke, and he was having a shamanic journey, and he was having a wonderful time, but he wasn't actually present to what was going on in the physical world. So I wrote the report, and then the doctor said, now I know what this is. This is a carotid artery dissection, and you are one lucky guy. And so that's what we can do with our crystals and our knowledge of energy healing, is we can make sure that our loved ones are lucky, lucky, lucky people. And we can ensure that we are lucky people too. And that's the joy and the miracles and the magic of crystals, is that they appear to bring us luck. But of course, it's technical and it depends upon knowledge. So that's the stories behind all of this. And now we'll continue with some more crystal healing first aid. But please do remember that your capacity to keep your feet on the ground, to keep your mind clear, is an essential piece of healing, an essential piece of first aid. And things don't go so well if you can't manage that part. All right? And your friends that will assist you, if it's not your natural tendency to stay calm in a crisis, is black tourmaline. Right. I'm just going to go down the list here of different things. The next on my list here, it says headaches. And to tell you the truth, what I use for headaches is actually peppermint oil. And I also like to use, people like to use amethyst for headaches. Are you adjusting there, Neil? Okay. But for the peppermint oil, this is my personal preference. I have been a headache sufferer my whole life. And I have found that rubbing someone's neck with moonstone can be helpful if they have headaches. But I like to use peppermint oil, and I use it neat. I just simply put some on my fingertips like this. I put it on my hairline. I'll just wait for the camera to be correct. And okay, so I put it on my hairline like so. Put a little dab under the nose. And you can put it on the back of your neck. Lovely. And I tell you what, if you've got backache, you can put it on any sore muscles. Like if your shoulders are too tense and sore, you can put some peppermint oil on. If you've got backache, you can put some peppermint oil on. It's absolutely miraculous. This belongs in your first aid kit. Peppermint oil and lavender oil. You must have these two in your home at all times. And I keep them in my purse. I have them in my bathroom. I have them at work, wherever I go. This is my go-to. Other people have Tylenol. Not that I don't have Tylenol, but this is your friend. And we'll talk more about lavender oil in due course. All right.
Katie Cataldi says, is it okay to use lavender every day?
Yes, it is okay to use lavender every day. But don't use it as a perfume if you want it to be an essential oil that works for you. Don't use it in your soap. You do habituate, folks. So it's actually, Katie, it's a very good question, and it's a little bit complex to answer. So if you're using it as an essential oil, you can use it every day. But always remember that we do habituate. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay. So for colds, so eucalyptus, of course, as an essential oil is good for colds. And again, peppermint oil is good for colds. But green fluorite, my friends, oh my goodness, this stuff is really good for colds. And if I feel I'm getting a cold, I put on my green fluorite pendant. This is the stone that taught me about using green fluorite for colds. So then I'll actually wear it. The other day I was getting a cold. I put it on, the cold disappeared. Now, is it disappearing? Is it treating the virus? No. Be careful about this. It can't treat the virus. It speeds up your body's defense mechanisms. It speeds up your body's capacity to process the virus. There are two antiviral stones. I have not observed them actually preventing viruses. I see them helping your immune system with the virus, which is a different thing. So the antiviral stones, chevron, amethyst, I had to look into this, of course, for the COVID thing, and shungite. These two have got strong antiviral properties. Isn't that great? Okay. And you just work. These are all you say, but how, what do you do? I'm telling you, you just hold it and you do that with it, or you put it in your pockets and you can rub it on your body like so. Gosh, that feels good. Let me do this on. Yeah. So we're talking about easy here. In crystal surgery, we have a whole procedure called anti-inflammatory for acute. It works brilliantly. But it has about 50 steps and you need a whole bunch of equipment. If you haven't got all that, at least use your green fluorite, and you can have it in these kind of formats too. Okay, good. So, and you see, this is green fluorite as well. Well, we have lots of green fluorite. The great anti-inflammatory. But one thing about green fluorite, folks, it's the ice of the mineral kingdom. It will make you feel cold. So don't be surprised. And if you place it on someone else, remember that they are going to get cold, because green fluorite is the ice of the mineral kingdom. All right. So that's colds. Any other questions there, Neil?
Just going back.
Then you want to also use green fluorite for burns, stings, and bites. So the anti-inflammatory. You can also use green calcite. It's also got the anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, this is a small piece. It's hard to get nice pieces of the right color green calcite, unfortunately. I mean, calcite is common, but the correct color green is hard. And in case you're wondering, it has to be green fluorite. You can use rainbow fluorite if it's green rainbow fluorite with just a touch of purple. but you can't use purple fluorite.
It's a question from Maura.
Yes.
Does it matter if a stone is raw or tumbled?
Well, if it's tumbled, you can rub it on your body. If it's raw and it's got sharp edges, like I wouldn't want to rub this untumbled stone on my body. It doesn't want to work nicely. I need a smooth one. So I will say in the textbook, smooth stone. It's because you can rub a smooth stone on your body. This really is nice. Okay, forget the class. I'm off to infuse all these stones into me. This is amazing. I always wonder why I don't do it myself more. So for burns, stings, and bites, also lavender oil, folks. And peppermint oil. You go and look at the preparations in the pharmacy. They've got lavender oil and peppermint oil in them. Burns, stings, and bites. And green fluorite. You see how there's a pattern forming between the essential oils and the crystals, and you work with them together. It's really good. It's really, really great. Okay, now for nausea, peppermint oil, and you can put it a little dab on your stomach, literally your stomach over here, you know, where your solar plexus chakra is. You can put a dab of peppermint oil there. For nausea, you can smell the peppermint oil. When you smell an essential oil, you start on one side and you take it to the other side and then you bring it back again. That way it hits, because you want to make sure you breathe it in through both nostrils and it hits into the brain. And just remember, the shortest circuit from the sense organ to the brain is here at the nose. It's got a direct path. The brain's just here. Your nose is here, your brain is here. Boom, it's in. And it works, and it's working on me. It's making me high. Oh dear, I may start talking faster and faster. All right, very nice. Then when we make the potions, when we do lotions and potions, we all get high on all the essential oils and turn into a very loud and noisy bunch, I might add. Okay. Also for nausea, we can use second chakra soother, and this is second chakra soother, and this is a potion that we make actually by the full moon. So it could have been made last night and be charging now because it is full moon. So we make this. This is a combination of crystal elixir, essential oils, and base oil and beeswax. And we do learn how to make, we briefly learn about making potions in Crystal Surgery 3, but it also has to be a course on its own because obviously there's a lot to learn. It's a whole discipline unto itself. But second chakra soother is very good for anything to do with the second chakra. Now, folks, the second chakra is very interesting. It's very interesting. Your entire reproductive system is second chakra. Your entire digestive system is second chakra. And your second chakra is your second chakra. I mean, it is a massively important chakra. It is the chakra of incarnation. It is the first place, because of the umbilicus, it is the first chakra to develop. We develop at the second chakra, in the second chakra, by the second chakra. It is incredible. So second chakra soother will help with anything digestive and anything reproductive. So whether it's menstrual cramps or irritable bowel syndrome, second chakra soother is key. If you want the recipe, I can send it to you, but it does require a lot of essential oils. So it is expensive, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And it's quite good to get hold of someone who likes doing this kind of craft to make second chakra soother and then just buy it, because this works like a bomb. Okay. And the part of what makes it work is the crystals, the crystal elixir in it. It won't work as well without the crystal elixir. It's an incredible synergy in here and works fantastically. So IBS, menstrual cramps, any second chakra issue, which, you know, we need first aid for. Boom, something like that. Fantastic, works well. All right. High blood pressure. Neil and I both developed high blood pressure during the pandemic. And so we discovered that if we took our rose quartz hearts, we could literally work our heart chakras and our high hearts with the rose quartz heart. You can see I cover it with my hand because you want the warmth of the hand on the stone, but I'll use my fingertips so you can see the stone. And I'm just doing that. And literally what we did was we actually went out and bought a blood pressure cuff. And then we watched what happened. So we take our blood pressure and we're like, oh my gosh, it's high. We had a lot going on. And then we did this. Like so, for just a minute or two. And then tested our blood pressure again, and it would have dropped 10 to 15 points in minutes, just by using rose quartz. And I've been using it. I get panic attacks in the night. I have a condition called complex PTSD, and it got very triggered by the things that were going on in the pandemic. And so I keep this with me, and if I wake up in the night and I'm anxious and I'm panicky, I sleep with the rose quartz, and I hold it in my hand, and it is incredibly comforting. So it helps me with my blood pressure, and it helps me also with those anxiety levels. Anything where my heart is feeling stressed, I can use the rose quartz in this way. And I was a bit snobby towards rose quartz, I will admit. It was, rose quartz, I was thinking that's for 9-year-old girls. I am amazed at rose quartz. I couldn't have been more wrong, and I shouldn't have been a snob. And it's one of the reasons that the guides rapped me on the knuckles and said, now, come on, you're being too complicated. It doesn't have to be like that. And rose quartz is one of the stones that I grew a new respect for after the guides corrected me. And I'm very grateful that they did. And so that I can tell you for high blood pressure. Now, for tension and muscle spasms, what you can use is Amazonite. This happens to be the very first stone I ever got. It was a little piece of Amazonite. And this particular Amazonite, it's got a little black in it. You can see some black in it. It's got black tourmaline in this Amazonite. I have to say the color's coming up really nice. I very much love this piece. It's just gorgeous. And this, you just rub it on your body. You can if you take the lens away, yeah, like this. So say you got IBS or cramps, or you're just uncomfortable in your body, you can take the Amazonite and rub it. Well, if you've got muscle tension, you can rub your shoulders and your back. If your back is sore, you can rub your back like so. You can rub your legs while you're watching TV. And the Amazonite will release all that muscle spasm and muscle tension. It just works like a charm. And if you have it, you can pair it up with what's called golden azestulite. It's just gold quartz. This is a quartz. And if you use the two together, it's as simple as doing this. It's so, you can hear my voice getting slower. I'm talking more calmly. I got a bit overexcited because I got high on the peppermint oil. But now the Amazonite and the golden azestulite are calming me down. They're soothing me. And I can feel it, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So this is something you want to keep at hand. Amazonite is easy to get. You just get a little tumbled piece, nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be a big sphere like this. Little small piece of Amazonite. Rub your body with it. You won't believe how amazing you feel. You just won't believe it. It's just as simple as that. Okay, so then moving right along, we have other conditions like anxiety that we all have to deal with. So, like if I had performance anxiety, let's see what I got in my pockets. My friend, black tourmaline and rhodonite. See? And that's because before we started, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle again with the Zoom call. Neil had it connected and then it got disconnected. And some of you may have attended the very first free Zoom call we did where we were half an hour late because we couldn't get on the call. So Cam had to take over and run the first half hour and just chat to people, because we couldn't get on our own Zoom call for some reason. I was very scared it would happen again today because of Mercury in retrograde. And sure enough, at 2:30, Neil discovered something wasn't working. Anyway, I put these in my pocket to keep me calm. I got out of his way, came back down later. And so that Rhodonite and black Tourmaline, this is my original pair that taught me this combo. And this Rhodonite, I paid an arm and a leg for it. It's crazy expensive. You can see why. I mean, it's just extraordinary quality, this lingam. And then I happen to have this gorgeous black Tourmaline piece. And these two are the ones who taught me to use this combo for quelling anxiety. And it does. It works within a minute. Within a minute of feeling anxious or panicky, within a minute of using this, the anxiety and the panic abates significantly. Not like, oh, I feel a bit better. I think I might be able to cope now. Like, what happened to it? Like that much. What do? You put it in your pockets. That's it. Simple, easy, straightforward. Absolutely fantastic. So, better than Ativan. Ativan is addictive, and the problem with Ativan is it lasts for 4 hours, and then you fall off the edge of the cliff, and you feel so bad that you have to have more Ativan. This is terrible. The benzodiazepines are terrible drugs. It doesn't matter how much the piece of Rhodonite costs. It's worth it. However, it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. That's my fancy piece, but this piece, wholesale, I paid $200 or $300 for it. I hate to confess, but I did. This one, wholesale, $18. Retail, therefore, $36. So they both work equally well. The lingam is nice, though. So you don't have to. You can get what you want at a reasonable price, and it's very, very worth it. Okay? Any questions there, Neil?
Donnie Best says Lepidolite is her go-to anxiety stone.
Okay.
Somebody else says she loves the simplicity of crystal healing. Doesn't like it complex. A few people want the recipe for second chakra soup.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll get that recipe for second chakra soother onto the website in a blog. But folks, you're going to have to learn how to make the potion on your own. I won't be there to... Oh, the potion making itself, there's a video. So what we'll do is we'll put the potion, we'll put on the blog the potion making video and the recipe. And then you'll have to go from there. Okay? It's complex, but some of you will know a lot already because you'll be into aromatherapy. So that's fine. Okay, so Lepidolite and Mica was up next. This is my Lepidolite and Mica lingam that I just bought and brought home. I bought it in Denver because I have a little one. And then I decided I needed a bigger one. And this stone in crystal surgery, we use it as an antidepressant because it's got the Lepidolite, it's lithium. That's giving it this color, this pinky, the pinky purple color comes from the lithium. Lithium is the antidepressant drug. Okay. And then what you can do if you're depressed, you're going to have to take the camera away so that you can see my head, Neil. Okay. If you're depressed, you can actually rub your head with it. Oof, this feels amazing. But there's also pain that the body gets that's a form of depression, and the Lepidolite and Mica takes that pain away as well. So if you've got an intractable pain where you've done everything you can think of and it's still not relenting, try Lepidolite and Mica because it does bring to the surface a whole other effect. So it's really nice. You want to learn to do this for yourself, folks. You want to learn how to use the stone on your face. This is like the most amazing extraordinary feeling. Now, it's really nice when someone does it for you, but it's also nice when you do it for yourself. Just excuse me while I do this. This is amazing. It's so calming and so soothing. Get into the back of your neck as well, in the front of your throat. And if you have pain in your body that's chronic, try the Lepidolite and Mica there too. I had chronic pain in my knees for 12 years. Then I decided, why don't I use what I know? And I started asking the students in the crystal surgery course to please work on my knees. I have zero pain in my knees, folks. 12 years of it, all gone. Began by me using this stone, Lepidolite and Mica, on my knees. That told me, ask the students to work on you. Each one gave me a piece of the puzzle. And as of today, zero pain in my knees. So I want to say thank you. Those students who worked on my knees know who they are. And I want you to know every single one of you actually made a big difference. No more knee pain. I was going to use it as a case study, as a practical exam for all the students, but it cleared up and I couldn't do it anymore. So there's the feedback and the follow-up. But for depression, folks, depression is a terrible, terrible feeling. You just can't get out of bed in the morning. You can't get yourself to do stuff. Things just fall apart. You've got to get things going again, and the Lepidolite and Mica will help you. Okay.
Kelly's asking if the shape of the lingam stone is
significant. No. The only thing is the thing is it's easy because it's smooth. It's a nice shape. So it's got this smooth edge there, but you can also turn it. You can use the points in a certain kind of way, and you can get into difficult places. So there's like the shape lends itself to particular things. Like I'll show you, a heart shape lends itself to this possibility. It's pretty amazing. Actually, this is nice. Here's a new therapy we thought of. Rose quartz on the fingers with the heart. So that's because you've got that groove there. So you can get into kind of strange and difficult places like that. So that's where the shape matters. Sometimes the mass, the amount of stone matters. The mass can matter. But like with this Amazonite technique, the mass doesn't matter. It's the property of the stone. There's something in the chemistry of the Amazonite that's causing the muscles to release. So a little stone and a big stone work the same way. With the Lepidolite and Mica, it's the chemistry that's working, but the shape makes it easier to hold or not. Okay? I'll talk a little bit more about shape. One of the ways you can center yourself if you're feeling uncentered is to, and this is something you can do every morning and every evening, is to meditate with carnelian and candle quartz for 5 minutes. Now I have some gorgeous carnelian. Look at this piece. Isn't that a beaut? I just love it. This is the raw carnelian from Madagascar. It's like fantastic. Look at you just holding it. It's so fabulous. Absolutely extraordinary. Look at this one. Makes my mouth water. It's so beautiful with this yellow design in it. It's like the natural art of these stones is so extraordinary and lovely. Okay. So here, this is an ordinary looking piece of carnelian, isn't it? But it's the most amazing piece to hold in my hand because of this, the shaping. I can hold it there and I can hold it here. It just fits in my hand like you can't believe, and you have to turn it around. It just fits in my hand as if it was made for me. I love this stone. It was like, oh my gosh, you look so regular. You look ordinary. You feel so extraordinary. It's just fantastic. And then that together with the candle quartz, and then you just meditate like that. And actually, if you turn the point to go up your arm, that works better. And you just meditate holding these two. And then after 3 minutes, you switch hands, and then your energy body will center itself inside your physical body. And you will feel clear-headed, and you'll be able to get grounded if that's what you want. Remember, centering and grounding is not the identical thing. Centering is when your energy body and your physical body are aligning correctly, and your energy body is sitting in the center of your physical body. That's centering. And grounding is when your feet are on the ground, you've got your bioelectricity correct. That's a little bit different. So we will look at that in a moment. Actually, we'll look at it now. And we'll use the black tourmaline. This is it. So black tourmaline really helps with bioelectricity. What is bioelectricity? We are an electrical system. Our nervous system is electrical in nature, and that electricity has to run through our body correctly. And if it's disrupted, then things don't work so well. Okay. And so black tourmaline is a very, very electrical stone. You can look this up, technologically speaking, you can look it up on the internet. And it is really good because it helps you with EMFs, which is electromagnetic frequencies, which are one of the things that are disrupting. One of the things is disrupting our bioelectricity is EMFs. And if you travel in the car or in an airplane, it's going to disrupt your bioelectricity. Black tourmaline is the antidote. So if you're going on a car journey, black tourmaline in the pockets. It works fantastically. We have had no fatigue. We have had no fatigue driving on the roads since we've been using the black tourmaline. And if you didn't have it in your pocket when you were in the car, you can just put it in your pocket within an hour. It will get you all organized and realigned, and it's absolutely fine. I'm sorry that it's black on black here, so you can see it. All right. So these are river tumbled black tourmalines, and I don't have any more of them. This you can get, it's a black tourmaline palm stone. These you can get, this is a black tourmaline point. You don't need to get big ones, you can get little ones. These are not tiny, but these will work. You can have ones even smaller than this. It's a powerhouse, black tourmaline. It's really extraordinary stuff. There's another one I was kind of a little bit, I won't say snobby, but oh, it's just everywhere. It's ubiquitous, black tourmaline. It's not so special. Forget that. It's unbelievably special. It's unbelievably amazing. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. And I'm glad, because now I learned something. So bioelectricity, very important. This is how important bioelectricity is. A doctor, a client of mine who lives and doesn't live in Cincinnati, his wife was pregnant and the baby was breech. And he called me and he said, do you think you can do anything? I said, come, let's try. And so I worked with the baby, and the mother works at a computer all the time, and the baby was lying east-west instead of north-south. That's what, part of the breech thing, not the head not engaging. So I detected that the mother's bioelectricity and the baby was zigzagging. It was going east-west instead of north-south. And so I worked on her, and then I detected that the baby, of course, had to match the mother, and that's why it was lying east-west. And as I adjusted the mother's bioelectricity to run north-south, the baby started to turn. Now, I'm not seeing this on a scan. I'm seeing this on my mind screen. And I said to the mother, I think this is going to be okay. The baby's begun to turn already. She went to the doctor the next morning. Baby's head was engaged. No more breech. Normal birth. Absolutely easy and perfect. All done. The benefits of bioelectricity. And that is my work, my research. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. I need to see those affirming things. There's no woo-woo, la-la land stuff here. Here it is, here's the proof. And it works. And that's how I want you all to be as well. All right. And of course, crystals are ceremonial, they're magical, they're mystical, they're all those things too. And I love all those things about them. But when it comes to healing, we need results as well. Okay. Putting this back in my pocket. So that's that one. Now for stress and anger and frustration, that stress where you feel like, like you're pulling, something's pulling on you, and you're feeling like, oh my God, I can't focus. I'm so stressed. I just want to cry. Sardonyx is your friend. Where is the Sardonyx? Here. Here's the Sardonyx. Did I bang the microphone? Sorry. Oh, good. Here's my favorite little Sardonyx. Love my Sardonyx. And that's what this one taught me. And again, it's so simple. Just rub your body with the Sardonyx. Just rub your body. You can turn it in a chakra direction like this on your hands. Oh, I can feel it calming me down already. And this one, it's like, I asked the Sardonyx, what are you doing? It said, just imagine you've got all crushed up potato chips. And then something can reform everything back, instead of being crumbs, into potato chips. That's what we're doing, because when you are under stress and you're feeling frustrated and angry, your energy scatters and breaks up into pieces. And the Sardonyx just brings it all back together again so that you feel coordinated and synchronized, and you can deal with yourself. And after you can deal with yourself, then you can deal with the situation and the people. So there we are, Sardonyx. And I start almost everybody's session with Sardonyx at the moment, because everybody's so stressed and angry and frustrated. We've gone through such a global upheaval for every single country in the world, and every person in the world has felt it. And so this Sardonyx is here to help us recover from the last very difficult 2 to 3 years that we've all had all across the globe. And so here we are, Sardonyx is our friend. And Sardonyx is a very interesting material, folks. I didn't realize it, but it's a combination of onyx, which has amazing properties, carnelian, which has amazing properties, and I can't think of the last thing. So, but look it up in Melody's book, and and also there is a blog. I did talk about this on the radio show, and you can look up the 3 big components. Oh, Chalcedony is the 3rd one. So that's the Chalcedony part, where it looks like white quartz, because Chalcedony is a kind of quartz. Okay, Chalcedony, the black is the onyx, and this one you can just barely see the orange of the carnelian here in there, but you can feel it. So it synchronizes and synergizes these amazing properties from all these different stones, and that's why it will help you with stress, anger, frustration. Now, another stone that helps you with your nervous system and help you with stress is Seraphinite. A good old friend, Seraphinite is a made-up name. This is actually called Clinochlor. So if you want to look this up in Melody's book, you won't find it under Seraphinite. She may have put it in a more recent index, and it might be there, but it's called Clinochlor, Clinochlore. Why? This is chlorite. This green, it's chlorite. It's hefty chlorite, folks. This stone is the friend of your nervous system. So you want to use this. And if there's emotional upset, you can use it together with orange calcite. So this is the stone for emotions, the orange calcite. You can also use an orange calcite heart. Okay, this is honey calcite. And you can use the Seraphinite with it. And once again, all you're doing, I'll stand up, just rubbing yourself with it. Oh my goodness. I think I'm the one getting the benefit of this class because I'm using the stones. But I tell you what, you just assemble these stones and do this to yourself. It's as easy as pie. It couldn't be easier. It's fabulous. Loving it. Okay, that's for emotional upset. Then for grief, which we do all experience, we're all experiencing losses and difficult life events that cause us grief. Of course, there's a lot of different things that you can put together from what I've already said, like the Seraphinite and the orange calcite. That is a kind of that kind of stress will help you. The Sardonyx will help you. The Lepidolite and Mica will help you, and also the rose quartz for grief. that are really, because it supports the heart so beautifully. And you can just hold it there. And the thing is that rose quartz will accept your grief. You see, when you're working with grief, you're not trying to push it away. You're trying to make friends with it, really. I mean, you know that the last stage of grieving is acceptance. And rose quartz will support you in getting to that last stage of grieving, getting to the acceptance phase. It really will help you with that. But you mustn't rush it, and you never rush grief. Grief is an important process. It's actually a lovely process. Imagine if you were to die and nobody were to grieve you. Now that's upsetting. That's grief. That's horrible. But the fact that we love means that we will experience grief. And rose quartz is our friend for this. Really, it is. It's really, really, really something helpful. Okay? Great. And that's also why I have a rose quartz skull. Okay. I think most of you know that we lost our son, and this is the week of that anniversary. He died 10 years ago, January the 4th, 2013. And so this was the 10-year anniversary. And I can say that rose quartz has helped me with my acceptance, and I have a level of peace that I didn't have before. So I can attest to it working very, very well. Blessings. Other people have lost. Lots of people lose their children. There are people in this group and people all over. It's not uncommon, but there are other forms of grief and other losses and other people in our lives. It's everywhere. People kept saying it's the worst. It's the worst. No, there's nothing. Losing a loved one is just hard. Losing a loved pet is equally hard, in case you're wondering, and always honor that, always. Okay. And then finally, shock. So for shock, I truly recommend that you keep a supply of Arnica 1M in your home, because shock by its nature, you don't know when it's coming. It's sudden, it's out of the blue, and so you must be prepared. So that's Arnica 1M. You want to get it from a proper apothecary, a proper homeopathic apothecary. And you want it in that high potency. Oh, I've got two other stones here. Let me not forget. I'll come back to the shock. And actually, this I think maybe that's it. Unakite may help. I didn't realize this. I didn't know until recent research. I was looking into epidote, which I speak about on the radio show. And epidote is in this stone. This stone is unakite. This combination of green with the pink feldspar. This is pink feldspar. This is called unakite. This will settle your emotions in a minute. It will get you feeling emotionally centered and ready for action again. It's unbelievable. And I think, therefore, it would help with shock as well under that circumstance. And this is a very, very good stone to have. When I go to Tucson, I'm going to look for some unakite. But, you know, you can't always find everything, even though it is the grand Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. That doesn't mean that everything's available every year. There's just too many stones. This is from an old collection from a guy who lived downtown in Cincinnati and over the Rhine. And I got that stone there from him, unakite. Then I also wanted to talk about Sugilite for headaches. So this is the manganese in Sugilite does help with headaches. And I did want to talk about it. And I wanted to share this stone, which has the image of God in it. And I wanted to share this with you. You can see here's the head. And this is a beard. Okay, Neil's going to focus. Tell me when it's sharp.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the head. This is the face. That's the hair on that side. And this is the beard. And I saw this stone. I didn't care how much it cost. You know that moment when you just grab a stone, you just go, I cannot believe that that is for real. I was really, really pleased to get it. Okay, So coming back to shock and treating shock, I do make Kunzite elixir. It's very simple, and there are videos of this up on YouTube, how to make Kunzite elixir. When you are stressed, Kunzite elixir, this is how easy. You make the Kunzite elixir. Kunzite does have trace elements that are poisonous, so don't put the stone in the water. Put the stone in a pyramid next to a glass of water and let the ion exchange happen that way. And this is how easy it is. It's preserved with brandy. It's the best brandy you'll ever taste. And then don't touch it to your mouth. You take your drops, and within seconds, you're all love again. It's amazing. It works as an antidepressant. It will help with shock. It will help with stress. It will help with any heart situation at all. Kunzite for the heart. Absolutely amazing. So there are those things that you can do. Lavender oil is very important in stress as well. If you get any kind of bruising, any kind of shock, any kind of burn, lavender oil, absolutely fantastic. So use lavender oil. So if you get a shock, use it like an old lady. Put some behind your ears. You know how the old ladies put lavender water on behind the ears. Okay, and then you can put a little lavender oil there, a little bit on the back of your neck, and it will help you. But the best of all will be arnica. You don't want to skip that step. Arnica montana, 1 or 10 you take maybe just 3 doses, not more than that, to take a homeopathic remedy. But also lavender oil, Kunzite elixir, and then in crystal surgery, there are ways to deal with shock that are really, really important. The biggest problem is Western medicine knows how to keep you alive when you go into shock, but they don't really know how to get your energy body and your physical body to come back together again correctly. So you can carry shock for the rest of your life without actually healing. And I've actually seen this. I've seen this where a person in Cape Town, he was playing cricket, and it has a very hard ball. The cricket ball is very, very hard, and it hit him on his finger here. The cricket ball hit his middle finger on his left hand layer, like this, boom. And it smashed this knuckle. And I know Noki's on this call, and she lives in Hermanus, so she'll know where I'm talking about. This hand surgeon was in Hermanus. And so this guy sat in the hospital. At the last minute, he remembered to tell the doctors and nurses that he's a pianist. They were going to fuse the knuckles so that his hand would have done that. His finger would have done that. So he wouldn't have been able to play the piano. And at the last second, he remembered to say, I'm a pianist. And he was a really good pianist. I mean, he wasn't just like it's going to be a pity if I can't play the piano. It would have been a real issue. So they had to call the hand surgeon in from Hermanus. Well, Hermanus is about 2 hours outside Cape Town, maybe 2.5 or 3 hours. And, and then the doctor still had to get ready for the surgery and everything. So it was a long delay because there was first not calling the hand surgeon, then there was calling the hand surgeon, then there was the long delay. So he rebuilt the knuckle because they couldn't fuse it, and it was a failure. So they had to break the knuckle and rebuild it again. And that was a success. But after a year, this client said to me, he said, Vivien, look at my hand. His skin was yellow. His nails were yellow. It was really a mess. His other hand, his right hand, he said, I cut the nails on this hand twice a week. I have not cut the nails on this hand in a year. And that was the first time. This is pre-crystals for me. This was back in South Africa. So we are talking, we arrived in this country at the end of 91. So we're talking 1989 or 1988, something like that. And so I looked at his hand, and that was the first time I started to understand about the energy body. And I looked, and his energy hand was hanging out of his physical hand like this. It had never come back and merged into his physical body. And your energy body is like the battery of your physical body. So it meant that all the electrical works, all the dynamics were just hanging by a thread, just enough to keep the tissue alive, but not enough for the nails to grow, not enough for the skin to turn over. It was all yellow. It was crazy. And literally, his hand was half dead because the energy body hand was hanging up. And so that was my first experience of bringing the energy body back into the physical and then waking it all up and getting it to merge and start working again. And of course, that was that. But boy, did I learn something on the job there. That was really understanding why when we get a shock or a fright, we say, I was half dead from fright, because you are. And why you say, I was beside myself, because you are. And all the things that we say, and you can go through them in your own mind, whatever your culture and your country says for being shocked or getting a terrible fright or whatever. And you'll see that it will exactly depict what happens between the relationship of the energy body and the physical body. So those are the things to remember. And that's my presentation on crystals for first aid. Let's see if there are some questions.
Just give people time. Earlier, Catherine asked about turquoises. Does it matter if it's blue, red, or green turquoise?
I don't think it matters what color the turquoise is, but I do think that Chinese turquoise and US turquoise is different. I think you have to explore your turquoise. I use a mixture of US turquoise and Chinese turquoise. Turquoise has many different presentations of self. I think it's good to talk to the turquoise.
Gabby says a Tucson shopping list has doubled now.
That's a big thing about crystals. Crystal healing is you have to have crystals. The equipment is pricey.
There are two questions on this.
Yes.
Annalise said, can you demonstrate how to get the energy body back into the physical body? And Juna says how to heal scar tissue in lungs. And Aileen says, how did you use the gold azestulite? Okay,
so the golden azestulite, it's like with the Amazonite, you just rub your body with it like this. Okay. For how to get the energy body back into the physical body, you need to go look in the crystal surgery textbook at the procedure. And so to do that, you just go to the PDF. If you don't have the book, just go to the PDF on the website, go to the table of contents, look for getting the energy body back into the physical body, and then look it up. There are two different procedures. And that's what you want to do. You're basically using intention, and you just need a clarity about what you're doing and how to use the crystals. It's not hard. It's not hard to do, but you need to understand what you're doing. I don't want to just quickly go through that right at this second. It's in the book, and you can look it up in the book. Okay. What was the third one, Neil?
Is how to heal scar tissue in lungs.
How to heal scar tissue in lungs. Again, you're going to need to use the procedures in the crystal surgery textbook. These are not exactly first aid questions. I will point out. So they're good questions. They're class questions as opposed to this first aid class questions. So scar tissue in lungs, you're going to want to work with the stones that work on scar tissue, and that is all very clearly laid out in the book, how to work with scar tissue. And you're going to work in the cells of the energy field that correspond to the lung tissue where the scarring is. That's how you're going to address it. You're going to use the procedures and techniques as laid out in the crystal surgery textbook for scar tissue. Okay?
Donnie Bess says, is there a materials list for the shapes and types of crystals for crystal surgery course?
Yes, there's a minimum crystal surgery kit And that is explained in various places, and I will make sure that that's visible again. I'll work with Neil, and there is such a thing as a minimum crystal surgery kit, and there's a list. And you do not buy wrong shape. It's a fantastic question. It's a fantastic question. You don't want to buy the wrong shaped crystals. It's not, oh, this Amazonite is Amazonite. You want to get it a smooth stone or whatever. Everything is in the textbook, folks. It's all in the textbook, all that information. The minimum crystal surgery kit is a separate document, though. But in the textbook, it tells you which stones, what shape, and you want to check always, how are you going to be using the stone as a tool, and make sure that you get the tool that is the correct shape. It's an excellent question. Yes, there is a list, what's in a minimum crystal surgery kit. And at this time, the minimum crystal surgery kit has been expanded from what people needed for exploration with the textbook and the sort of beginner stages, the very beginner stages. It's been expanded to include everything you have to have in order to be able to do crystal surgery 1. And I can tell you that kit, we've got some ready-made kits, and that kit is $800. But you may have some of the stones already, and you may not. But that is the most expensive part of training in crystal surgery, is getting the stones together.
And now a few questions.
Yes.
Wanda Elias Dessen says, if you had to walk around with a crystal first aid kit, what crystals would you have on hand 100% of the time? One of the questions.
I think the 100% of the time is whatever you personally need, your personal stone that has you, and that I didn't include, and I actually I like this question a lot. I did want to say that the stone that you need for your first aid is whatever is your special stone that you need, that goes with your vibrational frequency. That's the stone you want. That's the one that's going to keep your feet on the ground, your mind clear, your capacity to act, your energy in good enough shape, because your presence of mind is your most important tool in your first aid kit. That is the one you walk around with. Then there's what supports you to be that way. And after that comes the other tools, because there is nothing you cannot do with intention. You can call upon your stones to help you, even if you don't have them with you. They'll tell you what to do and how to do it, as long as you've got that connection. So whatever is your personal stone, tell me the person's name again, Neil.
Wanda Elias Dessen. Wanda.
And how do you spell Dessen?
D-E-S-I-N. Wanda Elias Dessen.
Okay, I don't have enough information to tell you what your stone is. If I have to tell you what your stone is at this time, what I need is your name as it is on your birth certificate and your date of birth, which you don't want to be publishing right here now. So I don't want to get the answer to that. I thought I might be able to get it. And I got purple, and it could have been Charlotte, and it could have been Sugilite. Those are two stones that could possibly be the helpful ones for you, Wanda, but I am not 100% sure because I don't have enough detail. But I did get this glimmer. I saw this stone come into the corner of my eye, and then when I thought about the color, I went, it could have been the Charlotte. So it could be one of those two stones that is your personal signature stone at this time, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't hold me to it. Okay.
2 more questions.
Yes.
Claire says, what would you suggest to someone who has stomach acid reflux issues?
Okay, so that's digestive system, and there are 2 things I will suggest for that. The one is enzymes, absolutely essential. We use Now brand, N-O-W. I'm not sure which country you're in, but you want to get good quality digestive enzymes. What they do when people have acid reflux is they reduce the acid in the stomach, but that's a mistake. The problem is that the acid in the stomach isn't working well. And so what you really want to do is upgrade the enzymes in the stomach to help with the acid reflux. Then second chakra soother works like a bomb. And so if you don't have second chakra soother, I think that some peppermint oil could help the digestion. And I'm wondering if Bailey has something to suggest. Is Bailey still on the call? Bailey, if you're still on the call, could you put something into chat about what you would recommend for acid reflux?
Yes, I will. Okay.
Thanks.
Actually, I'll email you. It'll take me a while. I'll email you, and then you can email out to everyone.
Well, we can put it, I tell you what, if you get the answer, and when we post this call on YouTube, if you can add it there as a comment, that, or I can add it as a comment.
Okay,
or I can
will
put
email
it in
to you.
the verbal description if you can give me the info.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, because I know you will know some good tricks for that.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks, Bailey.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then Juna asks, what are the best crystals for pain relief?
No, you don't want to generalize as in pain relief. If you go through how I've listed the stones, they're all working on some form of pain or other. You want to be more specific than just pain relief. But if you don't know what to do, then start with Lepidolite and Mica. Then you start with this one, because this one will reveal what needs to be done. But pain relief is too vague, it's too general. So you've got to say which kind of pain. That's the whole point, folks, is figuring out that the key is in the question. So if you ask, what should I use for pain relief? Well, is it a muscle pain? Is it digestive pain? Is it mental pain?
He said a friend broke his leg.
You want to use anti-inflammatory for acute. So that's green fluorite. And then there's shock. So you want to treat for shock. So that's lavender oil and the stones for shock. And you probably want to correct the bioelectricity because the accident would have meant that the bioelectricity was disrupted. Do you see how you put it together? You've got to break it into pieces and steps so that you can put your protocols together. That's why we have study groups, so that these kind of questions can be asked. These are good questions.
People are saying how much they love the class.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. It is time to stop. If you're in some other time zone, it's probably late. And I know that. I just want to say that there is a class next week. So if you're planning to join the semester, let me know so that you can get the Zoom link to the class. You don't have to have enrolled. You don't have to have registered. If you are planning to join the semester, you may join the class that is on Saturday, January the 14th, 11:15 ET until 1 p.m. ET. Okay. And so just send me your email and I'll make sure that you get the link to the class. And if after that class you still don't want to join, we don't care. You may join. You are welcome. I will not be teaching it. I will be flying to Arizona. But Anastasia and Cam and Brooke and Catherine will be leading that class. And we discussed it yesterday. We have a lovely class put together. And it's wonderful to see what the graduates are capable of. Because if you join the group, that's what you will become capable of too. And it's very, very nice. All right. Can we stop, Neil?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor and a privilege. I've really, really enjoyed working with you. Thank you very much for having such a wonderful response today. Bye for now.